If you are listening to sessions on YouTube and would like future episodes delivered right to your favorite podcast player, head to patreon.com/DGAF poker player and sign up for free. Then copy your personal RSS feed and paste it wherever you normally listen to podcasts. Spotify, the podcast app on your iPhone, wherever. If you would like to get 2 drops of sessions each week instead of just 1, upgrade to a paid member for $4.22 a month or more. Paid members get a lead up to each episode. Lead ups are private drops of sessions in which I share everything that goes on in my life when I'm not at the poker table. And according to hundreds of listeners, many of whom have been paid members since 2019, the lead ups are the juice. Sometimes they are dark, sad, maybe even painful. Other times they are funny, inspirational, perhaps even educational. No matter what, they always tell the story. My story. High stakes poker pro hits rock bottom at age 43 and does everything he can to not only survive and provide for his kids, but hopefully rise once more, literally against all odds. If you too want these lead-ups, which due to their raw and spewy nature are said to be perfect for commutes, workouts, walks, or just trying to fall asleep after a busy day, upgrade to a paid member. If you just want the poker shit, that's cool too. The poker shit will always be free. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that in addition to receiving a lead-up each week, paid members also get full access to all 8 seasons of sessions, full access to my mental health podcast, Solicited Advice podcast, plus membership to Patron Discord, the platform where listeners from all over the world go to have discussions and share their stories. They also play poker together, bet sports together with no vig, and some even buy pieces of me when I play poker with no markup. Many paid members listening right now would tell you that not only have they enjoyed endless audioscapes over the years, but they've also formed real, lasting friendships with other DGens on Patron Discord. To recap, if you want to listen to sessions on a podcast player moving forward, sign up for free at patreon.com/DGAF poker player, and then paste your personal RSS feed wherever you normally listen to podcasts. And if you want endless spew plus interaction with other listeners from all over the world, upgrade to a paid member. All right, that wasn't that bad. Let me take a sip of this Sprite Zero and get to it. Week 45 of 50, marathon. So it's Monday night, November 2nd, 2025. I'm at the Gardens, dead sober, trying to catch a little buzz before I go play some poker. And so I have a beer and a cocktail and walk to the poker room. And the bounty game looks dusty. There's a bounty and a double bounty, and they both look a little dusty. I go to take a piss. I see my guy, Martin, in there. That's Mr. Blue Chip. And I say, how's your game? And he says, it's a little bit dusty. He's going to go home. I said, which bounty game is better? He says, the single. I said, okay. Well, I'm walking back out to check out the bounty games like a real grinder would. And my buddy V is playing a short-handed 5-card mix game. So they do a round of 5-card PLO and a round of 5-card double board PLO bomb pots. And the thing that appeals to me most about this game is that it's short-handed. I just love short-handed. And he says, hey, sit down and play. You can buy in for $500. It's what are the blinds? I think they're like 10, 10 and a quarter, something like that. There's a rock. I guess the double board PLO bomb pots are 25, and the other game is either 5-10 with a $25 rock or 10-10 with a $25 rock, whatever. Sure, I'll play. And I say I don't really know how to play this game, but I'll play with you guys. I know how to play. Short-handed, I know how to play pretty much anything. And so it's one of the 5-card PLO hands, and I'm the pre-flop raiser. And I flop an overpair plus a draw. So I'm open-ended, plus I have an overpair, but it's a little bit of a sketchy flop. It's 8, 7, 4, and I have kings and 9, 10. And I have a backdoor flush draw. And I go ahead and get my 500 in. and I get it in against one of the reasons this game is going, one of the VIPs, and I don't know what he had, but my overpair holds, and there was no flush draw available on the flop, and he starts to tilt at me a little bit, probably like he tilts at most of the grinders there, which is, like it or not, the rule in live poker. If you're the one that's, that's throwing the party, you get to tilt at those attending the party, if you will. If you're the punter, you get to tilt at the punt returners. But I'm not a grinder, and I let it slide. And then I'm going to take another sip of this because I've had a sore throat. Okay, so now it is a round of 5-card double board PLO bomb pots. And it's I think 5 or 6 of us in there. That's how many people are at the table. And the flop comes out, and we all check. And then I'm first to act. And the turn comes out, and I have draws on both boards, but I'm not going to bet here into the field. And the VIP bets really small. And then I think 2 or 3 people call. And so this is just your classic pouncing on weakness moment. I pot it. Like he min bet, a couple of people called. I pot it. He shakes his head and folds. The next guy folds. And the other guy, who is also a VIP, calls. Okay, I have draws on both boards. Whatever. I was trying to take it down there. And both rivers are complete breaks. So I missed both my draws. I have, I think, third pair on one board and nothing on the other somehow. But I quickly realized when he just called the small bet and then he called my pot, he's on draws as well. So he must have bricked as well. And so I pot it all in on the river with air, and he doesn't take too long to fold. And the guy sitting next to me is an old school poker player, John Liu, I think his name is. He used to be a menace at the Commerce back in the day, someone with endless heart, and now he plays PLO. And he was sitting next to me, and he was one of the people that had folded to my, after the guy bet small and they called and I raised, he folded, and I showed him my cards, and I knew he would, keep a poker face. And sometimes when you show your cards, it exudes strength. And he started laughing. Also, not just that I ran a bluff in a double board PLO bomb pot game, but when I sat down, my buddy was like, "You like this?" And I said, "Yeah, it's okay. It's kind of fun, shorthanded, but I much prefer no limit because you can bluff, and you just can't bluff in this game." So I kind of set that up pretty well, and it's a nice start to my session. I bought it for $500, and I probably have $1,300, $1,400. And let's get it going. Let's have a big win. I had a good win recently, but let's have a big one. People do it all the time. And we're back to 5-card PLO. I flop trips and fold correctly to my buddy who plays pretty snug. And then I flop trips and have to make a really tough fold because I bet it was 4-4-7, and I had 4 and then 4 overcards that could hit to boat up over the 7, and the VIP, the tilty VIP, shipped it, but he kind of was down to nub, and another VIP called, and so I have to call here if I think this guy has anything but pocket 7s, and just something about everything made me think he had pocket 7s exactly, and I folded. I showed my buddy V, who's on my right, and he's like, "Yeah, it's tough, because you have," and I said, "He's got pocket 7s," and he had pocket 7s. And felt good about that, even though you don't want to be folding good hands all the time, but a 5-card game, you're going to have to often. Got it in as a favorite, ran it twice, chopped, had to fold trips correctly again, and then I started missing. I missed 3 times in a row, big draws, and just like that, I'm stuck. So bought him for 5, got it to 1,400, and now I have 400 and change in front of me. So what? I'm just going to play this for a little bit, and then when the bounty gets shorthanded, I'll go over there. All right. And so then I win a couple pots, or chop a couple pots, but there was dead money in there, and I'm starting to get it going again. And I straddle the button for 50. So I don't know if it's 5, 10, 25 or 10, 10, 25. Doesn't matter. I straddle for 50 on the button, and they all just limp in. And I have 10, 8, 6, 6, 4. And the flop comes 7, 5, 3 with a club. And I have 2 clubs. So I flopped the absolute nuts. They checked to me. I didn't pot it on the button. And so this is where I don't know. I think someone potting on the button in this spot always has the nuts. I wanted my range to contain some other stuff, like including some steals, and I didn't pot it. And this guy who had sat down and run super hot calls, everyone else folds, and I'm just thinking, give me a break one time, and now I'll pot it. Well, the turn's a 3. He checks. I check back, board paired. That's the one thing I didn't want. And then the river is a break, and he bets very moderate, and I hate it. I'm getting a really good price, but I think he probably just has a boat every time or close to it. But I'm pretty under-repped. I didn't pot the flop with the nuts. I checked back the turn. I paid it off. He had a boat. And then he hits and runs us, which is very, very common in public games. That's something pretty funny. Is we were talking. It was a very social table. More people started sitting down because it was the social game at the Gardens. And these guys are trying to tell me that Will Smith on the Dodgers has won the World Series 6 years in a row. And I said, what? And I said, no, someone named Will Smith. And they're like, no, he just got traded from Texas to wherever. And it was just pretty funny. They were both dead set that, Will Smith, the young stud catcher on the Dodgers, had been bouncing around the league. It was just kind of one of those, misinformation things that's so prevalent these days. People read something on social media and then they might misinterpret it. It might have been, a lie to start with, and they go with it. It was just kind of funny. I felt like I played well in this game, and I felt like I had an edge, and it broke, and I won $400 in it. And I'll play it again, especially if it's short. I think it's a pretty good option, and especially if there's 2 VIPs at the table. And I came to, there's only one bounty game going at this point, and it's shorthanded, and my nemesis, Samurai, is at the table. He gives a lot of action. He used to play way too slowly and didn't tip, but we corrected that when he started playing on stream, and he's adjusted. He plays quickly now, and I believe he tips. And now, I'm looking forward to battling this guy. He is the definition of a battler. He plays too many hands, of course. That's what battlers do. But he puts you in tough spots, and he goes for thin value. He does everything that a battler does, and let's go, Samurai. Like let's battle. I'm coming off a few wins in a row, so I don't have that monkey on my back really. And the first hand of note, I'm in there with Queen 8. We're playing just 5-5-10 bounty. Sometimes the 20's on. And I have Queen 8 shorthanded, and it comes Jack 8X, and he continuation bets. I call. I don't think he has much. I call, and the turn's a 10, and he bets much larger. And I call again. I have a pair, an open-ender, and the river is, I have a pair and a gut shot, sorry. And the river is a 9. I hit my gut shot, and he bets again. And I just know, I kind of really thought he had king, queen on the turn when he went from weak continuation bet to like betting heavy. Like he picked up a good draw, which would be the open-ender, king, queen. And that's exactly what he had. And this is so much of our history where he just runs pure as a motherfucker against me. And on that note, the next hand of note, it's ace 5 deuce, and I have ace 4. And I have an ace and a 10 with 10 of hearts. And there's 3 hearts out there, or 3 diamonds, I don't remember exactly. And we get to the river, and the river is a deuce, a brick, pairs the bottom card, and he bets, and I pay it off. He called with bottom pair and like a 8 high flush draw. So he was drawing very, very thin. He had 6 outs, and he was hoping his heart would be good or his diamond would be good, but it wouldn't. And I ranted a little bit about how lucky he is, and then he immediately doubled me up. Sometimes you do that. Grizzled vet, if you can't beat them, rant about how lucky they are and then make a flush, and they'll double you up, and that's what happened. And then I called one of his squeezes in position with 9-8 offsuit. It came 9-6-4. He checked, and I'm just gonna bet until eternity unless the board gets too sketchy. And he called, and the turn's a 5. I bet again. He called. The river's a 4. He checked, and I bombed it. And he called, and I said, "Dealer, give me the pot." I just was almost 100% certain he either had a 6 or he had a hand like 7s or 8s, and my 9 was good. And it's just a friendly rivalry. I see his Twitter because that's how I've messaged him for games. And he's a guy trying to be a pro, or maybe he is a pro, whatever you want to call it. And his tweets are talking about how good his reads are and this and that, which it's the thing in poker. Like, people are enthusiasts. They have some success, often due to running piping hot. They get very serious about it. They're trying harder than everyone else at the table and still running hot, and they feel like gods at the table. And some of his tweets reflect that when you translate to English. I occasionally do. And I just wanted to I wanted to go after that a little bit on this night. I need another sip of this. I gotta go after my sore throat as well. And then I got him again. Good. I don't know if it was a fold or value or whatever, but as I wrote on his face. And then the 40's on, and I'm the bounty, and they check it to me, they limp to me, and I raise with 7-6 offsuit, and it gets back to him, and he puts in the limp re-raise. Call. I'm the bounty. It comes Jack 7-3. I have middle pair, and he bets, and I call, and the turn's a 4, so I have second pair plus a gut shot. He bets again. I call. The river's an ace. He checks. I check back. He has 9s. He got some good value there. This was a big pot due to the 40 being on, me squeezing, and him putting in the limp re-raise with 9s out of position. And I don't mind how I played it, but he got 2 streets of value there, and not everyone would with a jack out there, but whatever. Then I missed a flush draw in a big spot, and my stack's going the wrong way, and I'm really battling him. I'm showing him bluffs. It is. Some people say I like playing against people who are very thinking and are good, and it can be stimulating to your mind. You would rather play against people who aren't thinking in general, but just like certain spots where you bet the turn with your fucking cheese, you bet the flop small, you bet your turn with your cheese, and the river is just a card. I'll give you an example. If it comes queen 10, if it comes queen XX and you put the small continuation bet out there, queen 10X, small continuation bet out there, and then X, and you bet again, and you have God knows what, something terrible, 8-3 maybe, suited, because you're, trying to win. And then the river's a jack, and if you thought he had a 10 the whole time, then when he checks you, you can put that value bet looking thing out there, and he's just going to make a disciplined fold, knowing that you'll go for value with second pair here, and it looks like it, and really you just got to show him the cheese after he folds, just because it's a friendly rivalry. And then I'm starting to get some momentum at this table. And there's a VIP, the reason the game was going, and he squeezes pre-flop, and Samurai calls, and I call in position with 5-6 offsuit, and it comes 9-4-3, and this is a bloater. And the pre-flop raiser checks, and Samurai bets, and I call. I got the open ender, and the pre-flop raiser calls. The turn's a 5, and pre-flop raiser checks again. Samurai bets. I call. Pre-flop raiser calls again. And the river's a 5, and now the VIP leads out. What the fuck? I made trips. Samurai quickly folds. I call, and he has ace deuce. That's frustrating. That's a frustrating run out. In the multi-way bloater, 9-4-3, you have 5-6 against ace deuce, and it comes 5-5. Come on. Then another cooler against the VIP, and then I got aces, and I think he had almost exactly ace queen. I had him crushed, and I played. You start to play better when you get some wins under your belt. You get some momentum. You get that monkey off your back. And I didn't go for all of it on the river. I was pretty sure he had ace high, and then he had maybe a queen of diamonds. There were 3 diamonds out there. I had aces with the ace of diamonds. I had a super pro hand, and I didn't get greedy at all. And I bet him out. I thought he could call with ace high, and he tanked for a while and called, and I'm pretty sure he had ace high. And then the guy sat down, this grinder that he's probably a nice guy, but he gives me weird vibes, and he always gets lucky against me. And I don't know, he just looks like a grinder. And he was talking with the other guy that one time, strat and shit. And he sits down with not a big stack, and I squeeze with parking lot, ace queen, and he calls a third of his stack, and it comes 8-7 deuce, and I put the continuation bet in and call, and he had 8-7 suited, just okay, man. I understand suited connector, like a third of your stack, whatever. You're supposed to be a grinder. Of course, if a VIP does this, you're like, hell yeah, but this guy kind of tilts me every time, and the dealer's tilting me, and I'm missing in good spots like that 5-6. And then I wrote dumbest hand of all time. I'm the super straddle, so I got the 40 on 5-5-10 20-40, and I have Jack 4 offsuit, and it comes King 10-9 2 hearts, and Samurai bets, and I call with my gutter. I also have the Jack of hearts, and the players behind me call, and the turn's an offsuit queen. And they check to me, and I'm not fucking around. I bet this shit out of this. I have the jack, and it's King 10-9 2 hearts and a queen. Someone might have flush draw, and the VIP calls, and the river is a jack, and now he just leads for infinity. So he obviously has the ace, and I fold. Need another sip. So now I'm back to about even in this game. I've been swinging quite a bit, showing bluffs. Did lose a big one to Samurai. I lost couple big ones to the VIP, but I've also won some nice pots. And Samurai opens, and I 3-bet. I think the straddle's off here because it's on one of the grinders to straddle, and they don't do that. So I 3-bet ace jack offsuit. The VIP calls, and Samurai makes it 500. And I have maybe 1,800 total. And this is decision time for me. I am in position, but I don't want to just call ace jack offsuit. That's a slippery hand, especially with a player behind. And we're not deep enough for me to just call. So I just think it over, and I just try and get a read on Samurai, and I send it in. Finally, VIP folds, Samurai folds. So that's nice. I won like 700 in that hand. Just swinging quite a bit. Can't really get anything going. Just win a pot like that, then lose in lame fashion. I squeezed with the ace-8 offsuit and to 100, and from one of the straddles, the $20 straddle, I guess, and the grinder that gives me weird vibes calls with 400 behind, and now Samurai makes it 500 again. I think this is a clear fold. It's just a different spot. Samurai has to have a good hand here with a grinder putting in, 20% of his stack. And then the grinder folds. And then I got one more chance here at Samurai. He bets in a bloater, and I call with Queen 9 on King Queen 10, and it turns a jack, and he checks, and I go ahead and bet here. I got the second, the bottom straight, but I think he's going to have a lot of two pair and whatnot, and the river is an ace. So he was drawing to a chop, and he hit it, and that was a pot that could have turned this into a good session. And then, God, another grinder sat down, a guy who complains about everything and requests everything, and he smelled like cleaning supplies, and just, two grinders giving me bad vibes. I decided to get up. I won a little less than a life overall for you old school listeners. And if you want to hear what happens next, you got to become a paid member at patreon.com/DGAF poker player. But if you just want to hear the poker shit and don't want to listen on YouTube moving forward, go there anyways and become a free member. Check the goals real quick. 50-50 tilt. I'm at 23 no tilts and 22 tilts. I didn't tilt at the table. I came close to, but I didn't. But I definitely did tilt the next day. And that's not, I got to not tilt in my real professional life. I got to address that as well. And so I'm close on that one with 5 weeks left. I'm slightly beating it, and no makeup. I'm going to end the year in makeup because I haven't even resolved my main staking agreement. 94,500 in makeup. And we haven't even talked about reloading. So I'm going to take an L on that one. We'll talk about it soon. Need to. I might be playing in some bigger stream games soon. Maybe not, but I'll be playing. I've been playing more and feeling better. It's just the way it goes. You just, we're human beings. And if you just run death over and over and over, it deflates you, and you just don't feel like anything good can happen. Well, I've won a few in a row, and I feel like something good could happen, and I've kind of gotten a lot of my professional life in order, and I'm able to kind of compartmentalize when I sit down at the table. So I don't know. We'll see about that. And the last goal, weigh 230 or less by the end of the year. I started at 247.3. I got down to like 217, back up to 227, and I just weighed myself before I hit record, 221.7. Pretty big issue is I played too much pickleball and did too much walking, 51 years old. I have plantar fasciitis in both feet, tendonitis in both arms. I think I tore something in my right arm. I'm on the shelf for a while, so it's going to be harder to keep that the weight down. I don't know. I'm gonna look into riding a stationary bike or something like that. Who knows? Anyways, until next time, peace.